All right, so today we are going to talk about the different characteristics of matter. Before we talk about that, the most important thing that we need to start out with is what is chemistry? Okay, and chemistry is defined as the study of matter. Okay, which then brings us to our next question of, well, what is matter? Okay, so we're going to start looking at what is matter because studying it is what chemistry is. So matter has to have two qualifications. Okay, for something to be matter, it has to have mass, and it has to have volume. And those words are things you've probably heard about before, but let's just do a quick review and make sure we are all on the same page about what mass and volume entail. Okay, so mass is a measurement of the amount of matter. Okay, it's measured in grams, which the lowercase g is the symbol for, and it's different from weight. So mass is how much mass, how much matter we're made up of, right? But weight is what's the force of that. So on Earth, you might have one weight, and on the moon, you'd have a different weight. But mass, you're going to be made up of the kind of same number of atoms in both places. You'll have the same mass. You'll be made up of the same amount of stuff, okay? We measure mass on an electronic balance, which you can see in the top photo there, right? Volume is another thing that should be familiar to you. Volume is something that takes up space, okay? So it's the amount of space that something takes up. It's measured in liters, which is a capital L, and that is mostly when we're talking about liquids, but we can also measure the volume of solids and gases. You might be familiar with measuring the volume using length times width times height from geometry class or math class, okay? We're also going to learn about how to measure volume by displacement. So if you can see in the picture, if I have a graduated cylinder, which is that tall glass, tube that has those markings on them, I've got some liquid in it. If I put like a ball or an object inside that, the water level is going to increase, okay? And the amount that the water level increased is the volume of water that was displaced by the object. So we're going to do that in class, but what you should know about volume is that it takes up space and it's measured in liters. So we're going to talk about some examples of matter and some non-examples of matter. So I chose this wonderful beach scene as some inspiration to us. And I have to remember that things that are matter have mass and they have volume, okay? So if I look at things that are matter, I would say the umbrella is matter. The sand is matter. The water is matter, okay? It's got mass, okay? I can put it on a balance and I can measure the mass of it. And it's got volume, okay? I can look at how much space it takes up. Some non-examples would be something like a shadow, right? So a shadow, I can't take the mass of, right? I can't know how much stuff shadow takes up, right? It's just the absence of light over a particular area. Another non-example of matter would be waves. So waves are made up of water, which is matter, but the actual waves are just the movement of that water in a particular way. If a wave is a movement of something, right, it's an action, I can't take the mass of an action, okay? So another non-example would be the waves, all right? So given those examples and non-examples of matter, I want you to really think about the following question that I'm going to pose to you, and that is air an example of matter, or is it a non-example of matter, okay? Is air an example of matter, or is it a non-example? What do you think and why? All right, we'll talk about it tomorrow.